Good evening. The top story tonight remained that tape, Michael Cohen's secret recording of then candidate Donald Trump. Mr. Trump caught on tape talking about reimbursing his friend, a tabloid magazine publisher, $150,000, the same sum of money that the magazine publisher had paid a Playboy model for the rights to her story of an alleged 10-month affair with Donald Trump. AMI, the parent company of the National Enquirer, bought the story and killed it. They didn't publish it. But Mr. Trump and Mr. Cohen apparently were worried their secret still wasn't safe, so they were planning to buy the rights to the story from AMI, thereby guaranteeing a woman's silence in the closing weeks of the campaign. That's what we hear on that secret tape, but not according to the president or his defenders. So we begin tonight keeping them honest with the latest effort at gaslighting by President Trump and his defenders over the tape. Now remember, a little more than 24 hours ago, the President of the United States on national television said this.
And just remember, what you're seeing and what you're reading is not what's happening.
Don't believe what you see with your own eyes and what you hear with your own ears. And sure enough, as soon as the tape first hit air last night on CNN, the effort began to persuade people not to trust their ears, not to believe the reporting, not to see what the recording in fact reveals, that the president has not been telling the truth about this, nor was the campaign in the weeks and days when it mattered. Quote, "We have no knowledge of any of this." That's how campaign spokesperson Hope Hicks put it just days before the election. That's what they claimed, no knowledge. Well, we now know, in words made famous by Elvis Presley, that was just a lie. The song, appropriately enough, by the way, was Hound Dog, as in you ain't nothing but a hound dog. November of 2016 was when Hope Hicks lied and said, "We have no knowledge of any of this." She was responding to a Wall Street Journal scoop revealing details of the deal that AMI made to buy the story and silence Karen McDougal. "We have no knowledge of any of this," Hope Hicks said. Now, it's possible the president lied to Hope Hicks and to everyone else in the White House, and when she said we, she just meant we, the poor creatures who have no idea what's going on because the president lies to us as much as he lies to you. But the we she probably really meant included the hound dog, and that was just a lie. On the tape, 2 months prior to that categorical denial, candidate Trump and Michael Cohen appear to have been talking about precisely that, talking most likely about their friend David Pecker. David Pecker, the head of AMI. Listen.
I need to open up a company for the transfer of all of that info regarding our friend David, so that I'm going to do that right away. I've actually come up and I've spoken to Alan Weisselberg about how to set the whole thing up with funding. Yes, and it's all the stuff, because you never know where that company, you never know where he's going to be. Correct. So I'm all over that, and I spoke to Alan about it when it comes time for the financing, which will be.
What financing?
We'll have to pay you. So no. I got no. Hey, no. How are you?
So that recording, released to CNN by Cohen's attorney, Lanny Davis, last night, is muffled in places. Some have suggested that when they're saying our friend David, it may not refer to their friend David Pecker of American media. Some suggest that could mean David Dennison, the president's pseudonym in the Stormy Daniels hush agreement. But if you actually listen to it, that idea doesn't make any sense, because they're voicing concern that their friend David could get hit by a truck, in the president's words, or something happened to his company, and the rights to the story, therefore, would perhaps leak or be sold to someone not so friendly to the president, or the National Enquirer under different leadership would publish the critical story. Now, because some of the words are in dispute, we've not transcribed the conversation. We haven't put it on the screen. But keeping them honest, this is a conversation of two men discussing what sounds like a familiar subject, or at least a familiar type of arrangement to them, 2 months before Hope Hicks said no one knew anything about it. Now, the president and his defenders are trying to shape what you hear on that tape. Here's Rudy Giuliani, one of the president's attorneys.
I assure you that we listened to it numerous times. And the transcript makes it quite clear at the end that President Trump says, quote, "Don't pay with cash." Cohen then interrupts and says, no, I got it. And then you hear distinctly, if you're careful and you slow it down, check. And then Cohen follows with no. There's no way the president is going to be talking about setting up a corporation and then using cash, unless you're a complete idiot. And the president's not an idiot.
That last bit you can decide for yourself. But did you see what Rudy Giuliani did there? He says the president didn't say cash. He said, don't pay with cash. Not cash, don't pay with cash. Now, we're going to leave it to you to decide, but it's hard to listen to that argument and not hear echoes of this.
I said the word would instead of wouldn't, and the sentence should have been, and I thought it would be maybe a little bit unclear on the transcript or unclear on the actual video. The sentence should have been, I don't see any reason why it wouldn't be Russia. Sort of a double negative. So you can put that in, and I think that probably clarifies things pretty good by itself.
Yeah, pretty good. Pretty good. Would, wouldn't, cash, not with cash. At least there, the president was trying to persuade people he meant to say something different. Rudy Giuliani wants us to hear words that may or may not even be there. He says he listened to the tape again and again and slowed it down. So fair enough. Here's the key passage. Just listen closely one more time.
So I'm all over that. And I spoke to Alan about it when it comes time for the financing, which will be...
Listen, what financing?
We'll have to pay you. So
Don't pay with cash.
No. I got no. Hey, no. How are you?
Rudy Giuliani said, "Don't pay with cash." Heard "pay with cash." Clearly, whether you heard "don't" or not, you can draw your own conclusions. Right after he said that, Michael Cohen said, "No." So what was said on the recording? Again, we're going to leave it up to you. Just to underscore, though, this was Michael Cohen and the candidate talking about something the campaign later denied they had any knowledge of, period, which was just a lie, just a big lie. Nor were the president's denials about payments to Stormy Daniels true, nor was his suggestion that he himself had taped conversations with James Comey. That was untrue, which might make you think twice about what his attorney says about the recording or even what the president tweets. Quote, "What kind of a lawyer would tape a client? So sad. Is this the first? Never heard of it before. Why was the tape so abruptly terminated? Cut while I was presumably saying positive things. I hear there are other clients and many reporters that are taped. Can this be so? Too bad." Too bad for those taped, but not too bad to reveal yet another campaign lie. It's also interesting to hear the president complain about recorded conversations when it's been widely reported that before becoming president, Mr. Trump allegedly secretly recorded conversations in his Trump Tower office. More now from our Jeff Zeleny, who joins us from the White House. So Jeff and the president, Rudy Giuliani today, pushing back pretty hard on how Cohen and his team are characterizing this tape.
Anderson, they are pushing back, not on the substance as much of the recording, trying to focus, as you were just describing there, on a bit of, smaller matters, the minutia of it, if you will. The president expressing his, shock that he was recorded in the first place. But what they're not talking about, I think, is perhaps more interesting, not talking about the fact that the president has misled, the White House has misled everyone, for more than a year, nearly 2 years, about this, his knowledge of having any knowledge of any of this. So trying to push back against, the process of how these recordings came out. Rudy Giuliani was saying it was leaked and it was privileged information, shouldn't have done it. The president expressing shock that his lawyer would have leaked this. So sad. But actually, I thought the president's words were pretty measured compared to what he usually says, a sign to me that he must be wondering what else Michael Cohen has.
I understand you and CNN White House reporter Caitlin Collins both tried to ask the president about this today. Explain what happened.
Exactly. The one question for the president is, does he feel betrayed by Michael Cohen? Important to step back and remember, there is no one closer to the president, at least was closer to the president, outside his family for years than Michael Cohen. So the president did not have any events on his public schedule. He was actually going to be taking questions. So as we always do at other events he's having, we ask questions. So Caitlin Collins was asking a question in the Oval Office today, asking the president if he feels betrayed by Michael Cohen. The president was having a meeting with the EU president who is here visiting, routine business. Well, the White House did not find that so routine, clearly a sign that the president does not want to answer these questions. So they took the extraordinary step of banning Caitlin Collins, our CNN's Caitlin Collins, from covering an event later on in the afternoon in the Rose Garden, where the president was announcing this sort of an agreement with the EU. So I was at that event. I was asking the president the same questions. Does he feel betrayed by Michael Cohen? Did he mislead the American people about not knowing about this affair or the payments? The president did not look back as he walked into the Oval Office from the Rose Garden, did not answer the questions. Aides shot us looks, Anderson, but no answer from the president. So at the end of this day, pretty extraordinary. The president has only commented one time, one tweet about all of this. We'll see what else he has to say in the coming days.
I mean, look, I'm going to ask you a question, and frankly, I know the answer to the question, but I feel like I have a responsibility to ask this question. Has anyone in the White House ever apologized for the lies they have told? Or in particular, is anybody going to apologize or at least admit they were lying or saying information that was not true, that we now know the president knew about this, and either the president lied to everybody in the White House or Hope Hicks was lying when she said we don't know anything about this? I mean, does anyone ever come forward and say, oh, yeah, remember that thing that happened a year ago, we were wrong?
No. You know the answer is no, Anderson, but we do have a bit of experience in this because all of these lists are really racking up. We have so many examples of places where we simply were not told the truth. There is, when you talk to aides privately, they will say, look, we are giving you the best information we know at the time. Perhaps that's true. It could certainly be true, but it still speaks to the point that they are being either misled by the president, and they in turn, in his name, are misleading the American people.
I just remember doing an interview with Kellyanne Conway once, and she was like, well, if reporters make a mistake, will heads roll? If reporters do make a mistake, they admit they made a mistake and they apologize for it, and they do it as quickly as possible. I've just yet to see anybody in this White House do that, and I don't know how they can just kind of move on and think, oh, well, no one will care that they lied a year ago, and we'll just move on. Anyway,
there's no correction column here at the White House, Anderson. Yeah. There is for newspaper reporters and TV reporters, but not at the White House.
Jeff Zeleny, thanks very much.